Hello there, I'm Moldy, and this is going to be the last time the background looks like this because today I'm going to be renovating my Lego studio. But first, I wanted to capture just how the studio is right now before anything changes, and then we'll be going over not only the changes that will be happening in this studio, but making them possible by the end of the video, and then going over a few long-term plans that I have for the space around me. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I think we got to get started straight with this desk because there's going to be the biggest change, well, definitely not the biggest change, but the most exciting change happening right in front of us. Many of you may remember one of the first things you would have seen on this channel is this nice Star Wars wallpaper of a desk mat. But I'm afraid to say it's the end of an era, and this desk mat will remain no more on my desk. I'm not getting rid of this. I'm actually gifting this to my fiance for her desk because it does look really, really cool. But this is now going forever. You will never see it again. Oh no, the desk could definitely use a bit of a wipe down whilst it's clear. But let me introduce the brand new desk mat, the Master Moldy kind of base plate like desk mat. This is actually available on my store on 4th Wall. I will have this linked just down below. You might even be able to see it on the product shelf. But the best thing about this, if I get the members board, is it lines up almost perfectly. You know, for legal reasons, we couldn't have it be the exact same size, but it's definitely inspired by the Lego base plate, and the fact that it lines up perfectly, the printing on this thing is honestly really, really cool. Just a little bit better than the Star Wars one, but I'm sure that image was stretched quite a bit. Whereas this has been designed by hand. I painstakingly copied and pasted every single circle, and I know there are better ways of doing it, but I didn't want any little mistakes to cause any giant ramifications for this desk mat. We've got the Master Moldy logo on there, and I'm really excited for all the future videos that will have this in the background, and also this can be the base for all future Star Wars mocks and mocks in general that happen here on the channel. Right now it's only available in green. Of course, that's not only the channel color, but is my favorite color. But I'm really happy with how this has turned out, especially with the logo in the bottom corner, which of course, if you didn't know by now, the M's are made to look like bricks. This was the very first concept for the what's at the minute the channel profile, and hopefully will be going forward. That could be a bit awkward if you're looking back from the future, and I've already changed it. But as well as this, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, we've got t-shirts. Go check them out. It's a fun way to support the channel, and if you have any other ideas, feel free to let me know in the comments. The other thing that I would like to talk about is these shelves just up here. So this is what I see above my desk. That's my fiance's poster with General Grievous just in the corner. Definitely not moving that. But as you can see, it's gone from display into more of a ready to break down shelf. I am going to fix up the Jango Fett Slave 1 and try to, it's not looking the best at the minute. It definitely could do with some improvement. So that's probably a future mock in the works. The AT and the diorama behind it, all these buildings are being broken down, and then we've got Anakin's pod racer and a few other TIE ships that I'm working on remodeling, and a bunch of sets on top. Hopefully today's updates will give me space to display some of these behind me, and this whole shelf in the next couple of weeks, sometime, I have no idea when, will be moved all the way over to that back wall, and we'll probably have minifigures. Don't really know what this is going to have on it, but it will have Lego on it. It will be in the background, but there will still be ships here. And I know that might sound a bit confusing. How are the ships going to stay there if the shelf is going behind me? Well, you'll have to wait and see, but I'm really excited to have more display room behind me, because though we have a 4x4 IKEA Kallax unit, this is going to disappear by the end of the video. It's going to be moved out. I'm sure it will still have a lot of the Lego on it, because the brand new display doesn't actually have enough room to sit the Disney castle on top. But this thing's like 35-ish centimeters deep, especially when you include the skirting behind it. It's not very efficient for displaying a lot of the Lego Star Wars sets that are closer to 25-30 centimeters wide. And especially with the height difference between them, I wanted something a bit shallower. And Honestly, looking at the new equipment I've got for the background, I haven't gone too short of a shelf. Billy bookcases do come in clutch there, but I think I've got something that will absolutely beat any sort of IKEA Billy bookcase. Most of the background is actually staying. These drawers are still being used, both sets of drawers, because here on the Master Moldy channel, we're not just going for a good looking display, but we also want it to be cheap. These are the cheapest small drawers we've got and the cheapest larger drawers we could find of their respective sizes. If you think you can do cheaper than that, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure loads of people would love to hear. We've also got the cheapest Lego display case in that LED display, but they all look so good. I think we've spoken enough. Let's get to actually moving some of this stuff, but first we're going to have to clear these shelves so we can move them anywhere. Hopefully you can't hear the music in the background, but we've now cleared the 4x4, which didn't actually take that long, but there's no chance we're fitting this through both of the doorways. So we're going to have to take this down and then we can bring in the brand new unit. So now that we've emptied the unit completely, because I completely forgot about all of the different brackets in there, and we actually found a Sith Trooper behind the unit, so that will be going back on the display. It's time to take this thing down. I've done a lot. I've done all of the unscrewing so far, so I did promise my partner that she could unscrew the rest. But first off, this is going to need a big dusting down, because the dust that settles between the Lego sets, the sets get dusted frequently enough. Probably should be a little bit more, but good enough. This display, though, with all the different cracks between the sets, definitely needs a good clean before we swap it over. So again, I hope you don't hear the purifier or the music. We've got both going right now, but the wall has never looked emptier. We've got rid of the 4x4. I am, I guess, scale for how much space we've got. 180 centimeters my arm go out to, so not quite that much, but plenty to fill with other things. And these drawer units are actually going to fill this space. That's right, we're bringing them out this way. We're going to shrink them down to 2 tall. There'll be a 3x2 block rather than a 2x3 Lego language. I'm sure you all understood that. And I want to get something special in the middle. So we're going to see if it all fits up. But first, we've got to reconstruct the 4x4 that we just broke down. It's basically going to look the same, so I won't record that in the other room, and then we'll come back and get back to working with this. Don't worry, all the holes that you can see are going to be filled at different points throughout the video, and we're going to use the right equipment to get them through. But I have no idea if we broke down the Calyx unit the right way, and you're definitely going to see all of our bad posture throughout this video. So now it's time to rebuild the Calyx unit, and then I'll be back to show you what we're doing next. Let's make sure that's not too wonky. It's really hard to tell how wonky the camera is without having the 4x4 to straighten it out. I think it's good enough. So here we have a Calyx 2x2 unit from, again, IKEA. You might be asking, why are we downgrading from a 4x4 which has 16 compartments to a 2x2 with only 4 compartments? And the reason is, like I said, we're going to be moving these little drawers over towards this right hand side here. And hopefully I can fit 2 of these underneath so that we're still not losing those bottom compartments. Though hopefully we can also put a few more Lego sets in here. So we are going to have to take this apart just a little bit because it does have wheels on the bottom. We only have one with wheels, so the wheels are coming off. And we also want to get rid of this top shelf here, similar to the 4x4 with the Minecraft Harry Potter city displays. We still do want to get one of the, I think it's the Minecraft display is staying on this shelf. The other ones are still staying built. They're just going into the other room to free up some more space for Lego Star Wars sets. But we're just going to want to alter this a little bit and then bring in the other one. And I hope I can go over it a little bit better. That's right, the 3D printer is joining us in the Lego studio. Hopefully, because this is shorter, we'll have a bit of space at the back. Honestly, I have no idea how I'm going to fit this comfortably under the units, but I think the units will at least be sitting probably about this tall. We're definitely still going to have to run a few of the numbers, but I'm really hoping we can get the 3D printer in the background. I use it so much. I know it's not meant to be in the same place that you are all the time, but we're only printing PLA here. It's not going to do too much damage. I don't have it running 24/7. We have the purifier, and as long as the windows are open, it's going to be absolutely fine. And the windows are going to be open all summer, especially if it starts getting hot anytime soon. So we've got our 2x2 units and just a ton of stuff that I've previously 3D printed. Thankfully, I haven't had to empty this too much. You can see we've got the 3D printed Clone Trooper helmet. We've got all the PLA filament. There's 2, very loud filament. There's 2 rows of 5 here. And at some point, I would like to try and wire up something that feeds it straight from where they are. Obviously, they'll have to be thinned out a little bit and probably raised off the unit so they don't catch it and go straight into the machine. If you know anything like that I can do with this Calyx unit, definitely let me know down in the comments. We have 10 different colors, but there are 11 spools because I ordered 2 of the plastic, but you probably already remember that from previous videos. It actually fits snugly under the drawers already. So this 3D printer is not ready to run. It's not up and running right now because that is another part of the process, trying to find an extension lead that will fit. We have a plug socket in that corner of the room, plug socket in that corner of the room, and nothing this side. As far as wires go in this room, we have some wires running up the side here, and the rest of the wall is absolutely fine. They are external wires, so I've checked that over before we started just to make sure. I don't want to shock myself on video. And then these units, like I said, will be going over to here, probably about this tall. So if you look, we've got 2 small drawers down. That means we'll probably go up to here with the units. which will clear the 3D printer. It will be a close one, and of course, it will have to stick out the front for these wires, but it will clear the 3D printer, hopefully by a couple centimeters, just in case something goes wrong. It's going to be very daunting having it over the 3D printer, but there will be drawers on the side in case something does go wrong. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's get these drawers moved over to the right. You might have seen me just a second ago use a brick separator. By the way, not even an orange brick separator, which we have an abundance of on this whiteboard here, but one of the more expensive brick separators. I won't be making that mistake again, to take off something that was stuck to the wall because I couldn't get my nails under it, and it's not the best feeling in the world. Keep an eye on the next time lapse because I'm going to be doing the exact same thing with this wall behind. I'm removing a bunch of screws from different beams and drywall across the back here, and I will be filling them. But because this isn't a tub of filler and I don't have a little scoop with me, I'm going to be using the tip of probably an orange brick separator. Let's put that one down because the tip of a brick separator is also flat, and with how big the screws are, it's size enough. Even this angle of the brick separator is very, very nice to use to smooth down and flatten down the filler, making sure we've got no rough edges. I'd say something funny about getting my hands dirty, but I've just cleaned them. Not very well. And before any of you panic, it was a 3D printed brick separator that I was using, not an official Lego one, but it too cleaned up very well. And just to answer a few of your questions about the tools I'm using, we've got the air purifier on in the background, the music playing, the rain pouring. I think a drill would just absolutely destroy my microphone. I still don't really know how well this audio is cleaning up until I'm actually editing the final video. But I also use this giant Allen key, which I think is really cool because it's got a crosshead on the tip. Before we go any further with the decorating, I've now filled the different gaps that we had, not only from the units on this wall, but also from the frame up on top. And we could probably make another use of this hole, so I might need to unfill that and the one above it later on. But we will size that up when it comes to it. Thankfully, most of these are screwed into actual beams through the wall. Otherwise, this wall would be on the brink of disintegrating. But like I say, before we get on to the drawers, I'm going to push them out of the side and bring the unit that basically has been the purpose of this redecorating. The only thing we've had to buy for either room in this shuffle round, and I guarantee, I think I can convince you that it's better than a Billy bookcase. All right, this actually might take some time because there's a lot of Lego in the path. So we're going to have one more time lapse and then I can show off the unit. A couple of minutes is barely a time lapse, but get ready for the grand reveal. In fact, I can pull it a bit further over to reveal it all at once. Hopefully we don't blow any of the lights. And in 3, 2, 1, this is the brand new display. You might be looking at it going, no way is that better than a Billy. It's slightly taller than a Billy, which makes up a lot more of the vertical space in this room. Not that you can see above this shelf, but there is one more shelf that is perfect for the brick heads and the planets and everything else we had on top of the drawers, but will be a little bit deeper. And then we've also got a ton of space for all my unfinished projects that I either haven't finished building or haven't parted out yet, which is currently what is on there. A few different displays as well at the bottom, but this is going to be so much better for display. And the best thing about this display here is the fact that it fits right behind the door. It should fit fine with the door being open and closed. This is basically the big test now. If this doesn't work, there's no question in it, this has got to work. Let's slide it back, get it into place without knocking anything off of the board. And we still have quite a bit of give this side of the unit if we do need to pull it this way just a tad or two. But I think there's enough margin of error either side. This can just slot straight back. And the best thing about this is the fact there's not going to be any of the glare from the drawers because the light is pretty much lined up with me right here. So during normal recordings, when I'm not showing off half my wardrobe, the light normally bounces straight back off the drawers. There's nothing, maybe a little glare off the actual shelves themselves, but they're black, so it's going to be hidden. And hopefully it will hide most of the filler on the wall at the back, because that means I can paint it at a later date. And with a bit of a nasty noise that didn't go back as smooth as I would have liked, it fits not only perfectly, but with like an inch to spare at the side. But we can shuffle around the 2x2s when these drawers are up. I really like how it looks. And the reason this is better than a Billy is because it's 30 centimeters by 60 exact. There are a few different choices for this. A Billy bookcase here in the UK costs £55 for 80 centimeters wide. I think the smaller one is like £35, and that's the only one we could have fit. And it's quite closed off. Everyone has a Billy. They're nothing special. I wanted something that didn't look like everyone had it, fit in my space specifically, which we were looking at pretty much bang on 60 centimeters, and also would hold, of course, all my Lego. If I do want to shuffle this around and add a few more shelves, this did come with 2 extra shelves. It was a twin pack. I can just cut down these plastic legs as much as I want, and there we go. We've got another shelf in the middle, though I really like the equal spacing of this, and it's just better than these Kallax units at the side. The 2x2 does come up to here, so it doesn't look like it is better, but with the thickness of these shelves and how they space themselves out, it just makes a lot more use of this space on the left. I really like how it looks. It's a bit dark with a dark red background. I'm not sure really how I feel about that right now, but I'm going to grow into it. I'm definitely going to be enjoying this in like a week's time. And like I said, this is all extra space. Though we are getting rid of the 8 spaces and the top of here, we had the Minecraft world, which is going down. The Harry Potter and all the Disney stuff is going into the other room. The minifigures going on the brand new shelf that will hopefully fit above everything else we are putting on here. We also had this display with the helmets, which is going to stay up there. We might even be able to get the cover on it now that it's out of the way of the camera and the light. And then also like the AT-AT, which I'm probably going to break down the AT-AT, but the AT-ST and the Revenge of the Sith Venator, which if you haven't already seen a few videos, the instructions for the design of the wings are up. Members get the eater and you get a closer look in the original video. Go check it out. And yesterday, actually, I would have went live building the invisible hand and debuting the background. So let's get a move on and get this finished before tomorrow's stream. Tomorrow for me, yesterday for you. Time is very confusing here on YouTube. When I sized up the brick heads, you can't really see them at this angle, but when I sized up the brick heads just to go on top of this unit, they were all meant to fit. I completely forgot the Valentine's bear on the far side takes up the space of, I think, just over or maybe 2 brick head bases. So I have demoted Cody down one shelf. It's not even the official Cody, it's my custom one that I made when I made a bunch of different clones and Order 66. But it turns out that they do fit on that one shelf, which is really funny to me, because the 2 units were an extra 16 or so centimeters wider than this shelf, and I just about fit them on the top of the drawers. There was an uneven texture and they were beveled at either side. I thought it's just really funny that I fit the exact same amount of brick heads on a display that's like 20% shorter. So I've done some quick measurements when it comes to these units and whether they fit on the wall, because the last thing I want to do is have a few of them screwed in and then nothing else fits. So I've measured vertically As far as the width is concerned, we can see quite clearly that if we move this unit right up against the other one and we shuffle them all along, then the fourth and final unit, let me show you rather than just saying what I've measured. We'll go here, and that should go quite easily within the width. There's probably about an inch or two. I think they'll probably not even be an inch when we're done, because these won't be perfectly next to each other like they are when they're sat on the floor, but there's enough space nonetheless for them. These are going to stack 2 tall to about here. These are going to be raised off the unit. I'm explaining this horribly. It's a good thing I'm a Lego channel and we don't have to build anything. On a more serious note, I've sized up the printer, and as much as I'd love the 3D printer to be going in the back, first off, it's right by the door. Not really great for the rest of the house because we do have a window on the wall just off camera here, and I think it would be better next to that window. No matter where we're 3D printing, I think it should probably be next to a window. Also, the filament is stocked on the right hand side. These units can actually drop down below the back of it without obstructing this at all. It sits out far enough. However, it's going to be very hard to get to that filament when we have some drawers here on the right, which I'm sure there's enough space to get the filament out, but it's just a tight angle we really don't need. So therefore, I think the 3D printer is probably best going on the right hand side, again next to the window, and it also saves a problem that we've had looking for an extension lead that fits the whole way around the room, which I thought would only need like 1.1 meters and the cord would reach. 3D printer cords are tiny. That's about 1 meter worth of cord on the Bambu A1 Mini. We've got a like 2-3 meter extension cord, goes to that corner of the room. It should plug in there if it's on the right hand side. It saves us looking for a bigger extension cord because we have a load of them that size. In terms of actually getting these on the wall, of course, a load of these, 4.5 of these are absolutely filled with Lego. I'm going to say 5 actually, because we only have 1 empty row in this bottom right one. They interlock with each other, makes them really nice to stack like this. I have dropped them numerous times like this, and it is a real pain to clean up. But even when you do drop them, the previous ones smashed and the bottom drawers emptied out over the floor. These ones, you know, handful of parts mixing with handful of parts of other drawers. It's not as bad as we've had it. But there is one of these that is more or less empty, which is why I am not shaking in my boots when I'm putting it 3 tall off the ground. It's got a few different sets that have been parted out in these 6 drawers, and the bottom 3 are just random parts. Again, look at that shelf. I need to have a day of sorting Lego. The top drawers are all but one empty, so I'm going to take out these drawers, and this will be the unit that I use to drill the pilot holes, and then I'm going to start stacking up the other units probably exactly how they are now, so I don't get too confused with where my pieces are. But it also means it's so much easier to reach. You saw me reaching the top units earlier. I had to get on the stool to be safe. I don't really use the stool, but I should if I don't want to keep dropping the parts from the higher drawers. So with these a little bit lower and the bottom drawers a little bit higher, it's just a lot better. I don't have to bend over to reach the lower drawers, and that's the same with the bigger drawers that will be on top of these 2x2 shelves. I've spoken for long enough. Let's get some screws in the wall. I'm not sure how much of my struggle you've just seen with me trying to pull this apart. This is on solid, so this is going to take some time, and then once I've done this, I've got another one to pull apart, so I'm going to need all the luck I can get. a slight annoyance, but we're about 5 inches below where the screws with the previous unit were, which, bearing in mind, is the whole point of why we are moving these over. So the drawers aren't as high for me to have to reach up at, and it means we can also fit a shelf on the top. But it would have been really, really nice and just satisfying if they lined up. You can see now the 4 big drawers have been brought up. So this was the drawer that was on the floor. I think this one and the one on the far side. So it's nice how I've folded those both out. It's going to be so much nicer not having to bend down. The only time I will have to bend down is for my 2 trays of, I think, car tires and car parts. And then I've got a few other parts that I rarely use, which is why I keep them down there. And a lot of the bigger Technic pieces as well, which you'll find in my Lego head. But as you can see, these drawers will stack up just like so, and these will go 4 across, so they will, hopefully that can hold it on the drawer, they will be all the way to the other wall. But the reason I'm bringing another one up is so that you can get an idea of just how tall these are. Add probably an extra little inch for wiggle room between these. We don't want them sat on the drawers. We do want them sat on each other, to be fair, because they lock in right at the top, which would be really nice for the security of the shelves. And I think we could definitely get quite a decent display. The shelf will be about the height of my shelf over there on the left, maybe a little closer to the ceiling, if that, but we're going to get a really nice display. Continuing along from the brick heads over on the left. All right, let's take this down. Just before I start screwing in the unit, try not to screw directly into the wall through the units. If you are putting up something similar like this, I always use a pencil to draw out where the hole is and then make sure the screws are in the wall secure enough. And if you don't have a spirit level, there's a pretty good chance that there's actually one on your mobile phone. I don't have one, but I've stolen my fiance's phone. Whack that on top, usually on the camera app. It will tell you whether it's level, and I think it matches up to the sunrise usually. But with Samsung phones specifically, it will tell you if whatever you are drilling into the wall is level before you screw in the screws and find out that one of them is wonky. I've given up using the screwdriver. There's no way I'm going to be able just to screw the screws straight into this wall. So we're going to make some pilot holes with the drill. I did used to have a really handy bradawl and then like a T-bar that would help drill the pilot holes. I snapped that not too long ago. So we've got the next best thing, an electric drill, and hopefully this will speed things up just a little bit. I've decided to go with the one that's actually permanently going to be there, just so we can start building it up as they get added. It's almost perfectly flat on top. In fact, 2 dimensions, looking at it, you'd think it's perfectly flat, but it's actually leaning this way just a little bit. The same with this whole wall is leaning. The dimensions of this house are awful. As someone who graduated with a maths degree, I guess you're not going to graduate with a non-degree. But as someone who really likes numbers even, it's so annoying trying to find things that line up. Thankfully, that corner is the most perfected corner, and I'm just really lucky that that's the one I'm staring behind me in all of my videos. Even the one next to the clone wall is wonky. That whole wall leans over. I think some of these exterior walls even aren't that great, but that is honestly not a problem. It gives us a little bit more give with the one on top in terms of how secure it's going to be. And I think actually we should probably do the one on top next, and then we'll get moving along to the right. But I'm going to try not to stop. I'm going to get this all done in one foul swoop, and then we can fill that middle gap, which you still don't know what I'm going to put there. We almost made it the entire day without any casualties, yet whilst I was putting this little drawer up here with the Space Mech, I think, inside, I just wasn't looking, closed it way too sharply, a piece was sticking out, and at least 3 parts went flying. I found one of them on that unit. Hopefully I can find the other 2, though it won't be too hard to find which pieces I am in fact missing. But take a look at that background. Again, you're not going to see that for the entire video, and there won't be a phone and a pencil in the way either, but I think it does look really, really cool. And finally, for the moment, most of you have probably not really been waiting for, but the thing that's going to fill the gap in the middle, I've had a few different hints at it throughout this video, and if any of you could have guessed it, it is indeed going to be our giant minifigure display. I can't tilt it all the way up right now because I didn't take the figures off. Half of them have fallen out. Most of the Mando shelf, and especially the back rows at the top, though to be fair, the back rows have been doing pretty well elsewhere. So this is going to stand just in the middle here. I don't know exactly how this is going to go on. I want it further to the left than right so that we can change the batteries, and hopefully nobody jumps out at me when I stand this up. Of course, it's the anniversary minifigures, if any, that are jumping out. I've saved both Luke's and Darth Vader, and I'll put them on later on. So to fill this gap on the right, we have a few different options. That's where the battery case is, but this display can actually be quite a bit more centered. And what this means with the display in the middle here, I'll put that back in just a second, is we can get a shelf on top with the brackets that I'm currently using over here. They'll go either side of that shelf and give us probably about another 30 centimeters, not quite as far as this unit here, because you don't have to account for the skirting behind it, but that will give us a nice space to display likely more minifigures. Right now, my desk, take a look at this. My desk is completely filled with a ton of minifigures, and haha, exception. Originally, they were in the unit taking up 2 spots, but this was, again, like 35 centimeters deep, and I have calculated the perfect way to display them on a shelf, but that is not going to be done today. We're doing enough already. These minifigures are probably going to be put up on those shelves, the buildings on those shelves, and I'm just going to swap around my to-do piles so that we can get ready for tomorrow or yesterday's stream. But I will be putting up that frame, especially whilst I've got the tools here. It's going to be a lot quicker with a drill than it will be a screwdriver, that's for sure. And then once I've done that, I think we are probably going to call it a day and try and tidy up all of the rest of the Lego. And then I'll show you off the brand new studio, and we can perhaps compare it to the old one, see what more space we've actually got. All right, the shelf is up and it looks really, really cool. But before we take a closer look, dinner time. So it's now 10 o'clock. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really done anything else in this room. We've been spending most of the time getting the other room ready, and I don't think there's really anything left to do. There's a big mess in front of me. We've got Lego absolutely everywhere. But in terms of where it's going, these figures, like I said earlier, on the shelf, those ships probably on the shelf behind until I decide to part them out. I'll probably have a few different models as well on here, and certain things like the helmets can already go on top of these drawers, and eventually, hopefully in the next coming weeks, we'll be able to get that shelf up and a few more sets on display. But I think that is pretty much all for my studio update. I will take you around tomorrow, which is still in this same video, so don't go anywhere. But for doing this all in a day, I think it's been a pretty good success. Hello there, it's now a full 24 hours later, 9:30 on Saturday. We've just finished live streaming, which means I have here built the invisible hand to go alongside my Venator Mock. Very, very nice. Both of these will be found later on the new shelves that we've got behind me. But I just want to take you over very quickly what's on these shelves at the minute, because they're not finalized, nowhere near. I've just put stuff on there to look a lot nicer. Anything that I was breaking down has gone on that shelf, which needs a big old sort out and clear out. As you can see, the hallway dioramas, giant Captain Rex playing card from Filoni Clones, Darth Jar Jar, Commander Cody Brickheads are on this top shelf. Few Brickheads on the top, nothing new there, not important enough for the frame for some reason. On the next shelf, we've got a few minifigures, mainly Star Wars minifigures, lined in the back with our Funkos in front, 4 Ahsokas, 3 Anakins, and a few bonus minifigures on the side, a few smaller builds on the shelf below, and even more minifigures below that. And then we've got the 3D printed helmet and the giant Lego head. Moving along, we've got all of our giant draw units and our even smaller draw units. And then, of course, our Star Wars minifigure LED display, which does line up. A little shrine for Empire Strikes Back at the minute. Does look really, really cool, I admit. So I'd probably slide that along with the Revenge of the Sith builds. These units have just been packed full of a ton of other work. I'll leave that on. And then we've got our helmets on top of these drawers, our custom 3D printed and decaled minifigures up here, and our gonks all the way at the top right corner of your screen. So as I said, work in progress, and I'm really, really liking this display. You all seem to like it on the stream as well. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this really, really long video. I'm only actually halfway through editing the hours of footage that I've already got. So it's going to be a long night for me tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the merch. Limited time in February. These t-shirts always on the back, and the desk mat is really, really cool. Not just the printing and the fact that, you know, I designed it myself. Small bias there. Really, really nice feel to it. Nice design, and is much thicker than my previous one. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Check out all the others on the end screen, and may the bricks be with you always.